Save COD charges by sending check or money order or use your credit card.
This is CNN.
Skittish investors watch to see for whom the stock market bell tolls today.
The beleaguered housing industry posts a solid gain, building optimism about the economy.
And loan money is still tight, but our guest has tips to help you drive away in the car of your dreams.
Those stories and more for Wednesday, November 20th.
This is Day Watch with Bob Cain and Donna Kelley. News for the conscientious consumer.
Hello, all eyes are on Wall Street this morning, where investors are wondering whether they're going for another roller coaster ride or a long slide downward. One signaling the end of the belief that better times might be just around the corner. CNN financial news correspondent Jan Hopkins is at the New York Stock Exchange and joins us now with the latest. Jan?
Well, Bob, at least so far today, the bulls are back on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrials rallying right from the opening bell today after yesterday's 41-point dive. Encouraging news about a strong rebound in new home construction and gains in blue chips IBM and Merck, helping boost the overall market. Let's take a check of what the Dow is doing right now. In the upper left-hand part of your screen, you can see the change in the Dow. It's up 18 3/4 points about to a level of 29.50 1/3. Volume's the next column over at the top. Volume is about 64.5 million shares, and that's heavy volume for this time of the day. The broader and the secondary markets are also higher. We'll be back at the bottom of the hour with more business news. I'm Jan Hopkins, reporting live from the New York Stock Exchange.
Well, Jan, the low interest rates we're seeing are apparently bringing some life back into the nation's housing market. New figures show home construction jumped 7.3% last month after falling sharply in September. It's the biggest increase in months. Gains were posted in all parts of the country. Applications for building permits, which signal future activity, also rose last month. But housing starts overall still down, about 17% from last year.
The rising price of gasoline is where we start today's Watch Your Money segment. In a nationwide survey, the American Automobile Association reports that the average price of a regular gallon of self-serve unleaded went up 1.4 cents this week. The survey says prices increased in every region except the Midwest. The national average price now stands at $1.14 per gallon. Well, getting a loan for a car to put that gasoline in is the subject of our interview on Watch Your Dollars. These days, it might be more difficult to get that loan. Stuart Kessler joins us from our New York Bureau with some advice on how to get the bank to help you get behind the wheel. Mr. Kessler, welcome to you. Thanks for joining us.
All right.
Well, some statistics say that car and truck sales are down like 13%. Is there something that dealers should be doing to get the sales moving a little more?
Well, I think it's best if they can encourage their people, the purchases of cars, to look toward the purchase with interest loans. They can have them go to their banks beforehand or their credit unions and get a set amount set aside for them so that when they come into the dealer, they know that they can purchase a car up to a certain amount of money with money that's going to be loaned to them by their bank or credit union.
Okay, so you're saying that before folks go out and kick the tires and decide what color they like, that they should actually have their financing in hand or try to get that taken care of first?
That's correct, because what's happening today, in many instances, people are ready to buy the car, the paperwork is all done, and then when it comes to financing, they find they're not eligible for a car loan.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you mentioned a couple of options for folks. Where do you think folks should start? Should they go to the bank? Should they go to the credit union? Look for alternatives there?
Well, the bank and credit union are probably best. However, I would ask the dealer themselves where they get their loan money from. Perhaps it's from the dealer's finance company. They can use that. If they have a problem with the dealer or with their bank or credit union, and they have a vehicle of time in which to get their loan, then they're best going to a home equity loan, because a home equity loan will provide them with a tax deduction, whereas a car loan will not.
How does somebody decide how much of a car they can afford?
Well, that's a difficult question. I think they have to do a cash flow and a budget for themselves. What they have to do is write down what their monthly expenses are, what their monthly income is, and what are variable expenses and what are fixed expenses, and finally what's left over that can finance the purchase of the car, including the interest.
Okay, you talk about what's left over. Speaking of leftovers, what about a trade-in? Does that help you when you go to buy?
Well, the trade-in or a rebate is best if you take that right off the top. That will make the financing much easier. It will provide less of amount to be financed and will provide a greater incentive for the dealer to make a deal with you.
What do you think about leasing? Is that a good way to go for some folks?
For some it is. It depends. Leasing is coming back now. It was out of vogue for a few years, but now it's a good option. The question is what you need the car for, how long you want to keep the car. Leasing is very good for certain people. For others it's not, because it gives them a certain time element in which they're going to have to redo their purchase of the car or the lease of the car. Where you have purchased a car, you have a car that's yours. At some period in time, you can trade it in. In a lease, you can't do that.
Okay, so you can't trade it in. Can you write off a payment with a lease if it's for a business or something like that?
Well, if it's a legitimate business expense, both the lease and both depreciation on the car, if you own the car, can be written off as a tax deduction. Most important, I think, in car loans and in car purchasing is that you do a lot of shopping. Shop, shop, and shop are the three most important rules.
Okay, all right. As we're shopping here, is a lease more expensive than if you go to buy the car?
In general, it depends upon the period that you're leasing. If you're leasing for a short period of time, it is more expensive. If you're leasing for a long period of time, it is not more expensive. It also depends upon whether the car dealer will provide the maintenance for you or whether you're going to have to do the maintenance yourself, whether the insurance is included, whether repairs are included. Everybody has to watch what they're doing when they lease a car. They have to read the contract very, very carefully.
Give us a tip or two how somebody can make themselves look pretty doggone good when they go into the bank or the credit union so that they might be a more attractive risk, we'll say.
Well, I think the best that people can do is come in with their figures lined up. They should have their cash flow showing how they can pay off the loan with no problem at all, and showing what their finances are, that their finances now are in very good shape.
Certified Public Accountant Stuart Kessler, thanks very much.
My pleasure.
Tomorrow on Watch Your Dollars, we'll find out about some jewelry scams and how to avoid them. That's tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning. That's Eastern Time on Day Watch. Bob?
Coming up, chilling tales from a former hostage. Thomas Sutherland speaks out on his long ordeal and memories of dark cells and beatings. Later on Day Watch, crisis calls. We'll hear from some desperate people stalked by a killer. And mixed messages. Does sexy clothing provoke sex crimes?
You know your love keeps lifting me, keeps on lifting me higher and higher. I said your love keeps lifting me, keeps on lifting higher and higher.
GE Spacemaker products, a higher level of entertainment for your kitchen.
If you're ever near Durango, Colorado, you will find a road to the sky. Where 100 years ago, men searched for the gold and silver they saw there. There are over 4 million miles of roads in Alamo territory, all across America. And every day, with every car nationwide, only Alamo gives you all those miles for free, including a 70-mile stretch along Route 550 in Colorado that takes you right up to the sky.
If all dogs were overweight, the only dog food we'd make would be fit and trim. But dogs are different. That's why Purina makes a complete line of nutritious dog foods. Pet tested, veterinarian recommended. If every dog were the active type, the only dog food we'd make would be High Pro. But dogs are different. That's why Purina makes a complete line of nutritious dog foods. Pet tested, veterinarian recommended.
We're about to prove a point. On the right, a pie wrapped in saran wrap. On the left, Reynolds and Glad. Knowing a bear won't eat what he can't smell, which one holds an odor and freshness better? Saran wrap. Nothing protects food better.
Former hostage Thomas Sutherland says he is still a little wobbly on his feet, but otherwise feeling good. Sutherland has been undergoing tests at a U.S. military hospital in Wiesbaden, Germany. Today, he described dark cells and a vicious beating at the hands of his Islamic extremist kidnappers during his 6.5 years captivity in Lebanon. At one point, he says he shared a cell with Terry Anderson, the longest-held Western hostage.
we were feeling a little low. We hadn't been in there very long, and chained to the wall, of course, as usual, and not very good circumstances all around. Dirt floor and stuff. It was pretty cold there. And down they come with a whole bunch of candies and some coffee. And Terry Anderson, when they got out, Terry burst out laughing. He said, you know, this is really funny. These guys are bringing us down treats, and here we are. They're terrorists, these guys, and here they're treating us with candies and all.
Sutherland says he plans to leave tomorrow for the United States. He was freed Monday, along with Church of England envoy Terry Waite, who returned yesterday to Britain.
A private pilot showed the right stuff yesterday when she made an emergency landing at the Salt Lake City airport. Joan D'Amico called the control tower that the landing gear on her plane was broken. And when the plane landed, it skidded about 1,000 feet before stopping. The plane's belly and prop were damaged. D'Amico walked away unhurt.
Police in Michigan have just released a chilling 911 tape recording of the frantic pleas for help during the recent post office massacre. 5 people, including the gunman, died as a result of that shooting last Thursday at the Royal Oak Post Office in suburban Detroit. The gunman was identified as Tom McIlvaine. He roamed the building with a sawed-off semi-automatic rifle. Several people trapped inside managed to phone police for help.
He's still in here shooting people. Can you describe him? No, I can't. Hurry up, I'll be coming to die. Is he still in there? I don't know. We've got people on the floor breathing. Okay, I'm just trying to get some information. We got all the help on the way.
The caller was one of the victims killed before the gunman took his own life. Women's clothes. Do they send the wrong signals to men? Signals that may increase the risk of sex crimes. Crime experts have for years said no, but American psychiatrists seem to disagree. According to a new survey published in the Journal of Offender Therapy, nearly 2/3 of the psychiatrists said suggestive attire tends to increase the risk of sex crimes. 88% felt parents should monitor young girls' clothing to reduce sexual risk. The survey was based on questionnaires mailed at random to about 1,800 psychiatrists nationwide. 1/3 of them, about 600, took part.
2 new studies indicate the AIDS-fighting drug AZT works just as well for women and minorities as it does for white males. An earlier government study indicated that AZT was less effective in some groups. Scientists say more research is needed. They caution that all 3 studies were not originally designed to make race or sex comparisons. A spokesman for UCLA's medical center says Magic Johnson is now taking the drug AZT. The drug delays the onset of AIDS in some people who are HIV positive like Johnson. Johnson's agent says that doctors found the retired basketball star to be in excellent health.
A train fire in Kentucky is out now, but many people still can't go back home. Authorities say they'll meet later today to try to decide when it is safe for people in Shepherdsville to go back to their homes. A fire broke out yesterday when the train derailed near the town. The flames threatened a tanker filled with an explosive chemical. About 1,000 people were evacuated from the area, which was declared a disaster site by the state's governor. CNN's Day Watch continues after this.
Abdominal pain.
I don't see any alternative.
I don't either. We have to go in. Have we gotten the parents yet?
I have them on the phone, Doctor. They're out of the country.
Fax them consent form, stat.
That's the only thing we're waiting on.
I know it.
Okay.
I've got it.
Any minute now.
Doctor, I've got the parents' signatures.
Excellent. Here we go.
Dex Facsimile, one of a wide range of business communication solutions from Fujitsu, the global computer and communications company.
A man called Dad is the most important man in his life. And even though the time between them has a way of passing a little too quickly, there's one thing that can make it last. A Lionel train. For over 90 years, Lionel has had the power to move 2 people closer together and let them build something they'll never forget. Look for Lionel trains at toy and hobby stores near you, because no childhood should be without a train.
Generations. To be part of one is much more than the simple matter of your birthday. It's to be part of an era. It's to have fallen in love to a rock band and not a big band, or to have played ball with an aluminum bat instead of a wooden one. It's to have done things as no other generation would. And yet it's also to share one idea with all of them. For every generation, there's a gap.